Hey everyone, it's Adam again. Bartlett's here too. He's being very sweet right now. Oh, bud. Oh, thank you. Mwah. Okay, can you get down? Thanks, buddy. So sorry about that. As I was starting to click play, he got all excited, and he's still sitting right next to me. I'm here this week to talk about a couple of different things. As you can see, I'm wearing my green shirt. It's St. Patrick's Day. There ain't nothing Irish about me. But at the same time, that's kind of why I'm wearing it, right? It's what we Americans do. Sorry, I was throwing the tennis ball to Bart. But I think it's important, not just St. Patrick's Day related. I think it's important to talk about this topic now because of the election season. Now, you're saying, Adam, it's March of 2019. Yeah, but as you know, candidate after candidate after candidate is declaring their candidacy for the Democratic nomination. And authenticity, particularly in politics, right, is such an important thing. People won't vote for someone generally who they don't believe is real, who is putting on or telling people what they think they want to hear. Now, some cynical people will say, well, that's every politician, but that's not true. There are people who are authentically themselves. Let me give you an example. Paul Wellstone is somebody I respect a lot. Now, he's been gone since 2002. May he rest in peace. But Paul was in a really tough Senate race in 2002, and it was around the time of the Iraq war resolution. Whatever you think on whether or not we should have gone to war, I have my own feelings about it. I don't think we should have, but whatever you think about it, that's not the point. Senator Wellstone was an unapologetic progressive, okay, liberal, and he did not believe that we should be going to war. Well, in Minnesota in 2002, the war polled at, or the resolution to go to war polled at about 80% to 75%, excuse me. Again, in a very, very tight race. So Senator Wellstone took a very courageous stand and said to the people of Minnesota, you know what? I know what you want me to do, but I also know what my conscience, my heart tells me I have to do, and he voted against it. So what happened in the polls? Well, immediately after that vote and after that declaration that he gave to the people of Minnesota, his poll numbers actually went up. They disagreed with him, but they respected him, they trusted him, they knew he was authentic. I think that's so critical in our politicians. I'll tell you, I like it in our actors and actresses too. One of the people that I really enjoy watching, I don't admire her necessarily, but Jennifer Lawrence is just authentically goofy and clumsy and herself and unvarnished, and that's why I like her. I mean, yes, she's also a great actress and all of those things, but I enjoy somebody who is comfortable in their own skin, being themselves, and not putting on a mask. I know that's ironic when you're talking about an actor, but putting on a mask to when they are themselves to make you like them more. And that's what I want in my politicians as well. Why is that important for disability? Well, because there are bad days, right? There are great days. There are many great days lately for me, knock on wood. But there's also bad days. There are hard days. There are days where my vision isn't as good. There are days where the obstacles that, because of my disability and because of the accessibility issues around that I have to deal with, that get to me. I want to always be authentic with you in these videos. And so when I have those days, and luckily today really hasn't been one of them, but when I have those days, that's probably when it's most important for me to share that. So that you can see that it's not all, rainbows and unicorns, so to speak. I also am diagnosed with Crohn's disease, which is a autoimmune intestinal disease, right? Gastrointestinal. So those mornings suck, right? When that's going crazy. And those happen too. So I want to be real about that. I want to be real about some of the challenges of training Barty over here, who is the best thing that's ever happened to me, but also can drive me a little crazy sometimes when he is refusing to listen. But I also think it's important that we have our priorities in order when we're being honest, right? And so one of the things that I've been fighting with for years is my own personal struggle about how involved I want to be with the blind and visually impaired community and the disability community in particular. as a young kid, one of the things I always saw was the only people I saw with disabilities were working with other people with disabilities. And so what that sent a message to me as is, hey, Adam, that's all you can ever do. Now, I never got that from my family, as we've talked about. I never got that from the teachers or the other people around me, but that's what I saw, and I internalized that. And so I made a choice that, hey, I'm never going to be a part of that community because I thought it was insular and I never wanted to be a part of that. That was reinforced for me a few years ago, to some extent. I guess I would say maybe 10, 15 years ago now, when the National Federation for the Blind, which does a lot of great things, please don't misunderstand me, NFB, filed a lawsuit against the federal government related to the color, size, and shape of money, the texture and all that. And I remember thinking to myself, what does it matter what the color, size, shape, texture of money is if 80% of people who are blind and visually impaired are unemployed and don't have money to deal with to begin with? Because that's where it all starts. Without that, what the hell does the money matter? And that was another sort of example for me of missed priorities, of the wrong focus. And so it's taken me a long time to, obviously I accepted my disability a long time ago, but now that I'm in a position to speak to people, to make a difference in people's lives, to influence others, I think I have that obligation to help the next generation of kids understand that they can do whatever the fuck they want to do, okay, with their lives. That is, if as I said in the first video, if that's the only thing that happens is one kid says, I can be whatever I want to be, Adam did it, I can do it too, in spite of my disability, in spite of my whatever my challenges are, sorry, not in spite of, because of. Your disability is what makes you stronger, what makes you passionate, what gives you all that drive, right? So because of, not in spite of. But if I can do that, then I've accomplished my goal. So, but back to why I was away from that community for a long time. Well, I think I've talked about that. And I've also talked before on this channel about Molly Burke and watching her YouTube videos and getting more engaged also with the unemployment issues around people with disabilities. All of those things have brought me back in, and that's why I've been involved with more organizations, why I've spoken out a lot, why I've been an advocate for myself and for others, and that's so important to me. So it's taken me a long time to get here emotionally, to be able to integrate myself into that community and feel like a part of it. I still don't have as many blind or visually impaired friends as I'd like. Because of the accessibility and transportation issues. I still am not as involved. I'm trying to get more and more involved in the community. I've been able to get my employer to form a partnership recently with the Perkins School for the Blind in Massachusetts, which is an important stepping stone and place to go for people who either never have vision as children or lose it later in life. They do an awesome job. They have talking books, they have Braille, they have all of those things for people who have vision loss. And so it's an important place, a special place in my heart. And the fact that my employer has listened to my recommendation and formed that partnership is really meaningful for me. So basically, that's what I really wanted to focus on today, was talking about authenticity, being genuinely yourself, not being afraid to be yourself, not being afraid to be part of the communities that you naturally belong to. I also feel like I'm doing a disservice if I don't talk about what happened in New Zealand the other day. I mean, what is there to say other than it's awful? It's sickening. It's everything that's wrong with hatred and division. I'm not going to blame it on any one individual other than the perpetrator, whose name I will not say. But what I won't do is also ignore that the anti-Semitism, Islamophobia, homophobia, all of those things that have gone on in this country and across the world. You see it in Europe with more and more far-right parties gaining influence. You see it among some left-leaning groups and individuals as well. That sort of isolationism, xenophobia, and victim blaming, scapegoating. I will never be a party to that. Dr. King said many times, the darkness cannot drive out darkness, only light can do that. Hate cannot drive out hate, only love can do that. Love is the great motivator of change. And you have to love yourself, you have to love others, you have to love the stranger. If you believe in faith, if you are a person of faith, the Bible, every Bible, Jewish, Hindu, Christian, Muslim, every foundational religious book talks about loving the stranger as yourself. And certainly there's a lot of wisdom in that. So my heart goes out to the people of Christchurch, of New Zealand, of the Muslim community. That's something that our president wouldn't specifically say. I will. Okay, they are the ones that suffered on this attack, and it's heartbreaking to see it happen again and again. And good on Jacinda Ardern, I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly, the Prime Minister of New Zealand, who took rapid action to change the gun laws. I do believe that would be a very good thing, not only in New Zealand, but certainly in this country as well. That's really all I can say. My love, my prayers, my thoughts, but thoughts and prayers aren't enough. And that's my authentic feeling. Okay. And that's all you'll ever get on this channel. So, as always, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. And Bart thanks you too. He's right here under the table right now. We will see you next week.